I'm pleased to welcome everyone this morning. As you'll hear, my story is unique because for more than half my life, women have raised me and made it a priority to baby me. This has been the case since my father's passing in late October of 2004. I mention that storyline as fact, not as pity, because I have a great family and my father's spirit has lived on with us. People love to complain about the fact that Montgomery Bell Academy has and never will admit girls to their school, but I do not associate with this group. MBA, although it has been a constant academic struggle for me, has been a place of refuge. It's like the Holy Land. See, I was raised by 5 women. So this hill that MBA sits on is like Mount Olympus to me. Sacred ground filled with testosterone and musk. For years, I would come home to a house full of women every day after school. But as time has carried on, my sisters have grown older and moved out, leaving me alone with the one and only Mama C. I lost my father 4 days after my 8th birthday, leaving my mom alone with all 5 kids. Her biggest fear, of course, was having to raise a boy in a house full of women. I can say in full honesty that she conquered that fear. She did what every dad would do. She attended every sporting event. Every Sunday in the fall, she would take me to watch the Titans play. She would even take me to the batting cage, standing there, feeding rubber baseballs through the machine, and trying to correct my swing, even though we both knew she had no clue what she was talking about. She pushed me to be the best at whatever it is I was doing. She wanted to raise me as a man, as a gentleman, scholar, and an athlete. Although I haven't truly fulfilled the scholar and athlete portion of the motto, my mother has raised me to be a gentleman just as my father would have wanted. I've realized over time that all of us are dealt with hands or situations that may not be easy. But how we learn to manage these situations makes all the difference. I'm a work in progress, someone who is learning the value of hard work, sacrifice, and stick-to-itiveness. My mother, Kim Coakley, is on the other hand, someone like so many of your mothers here this morning, an individual who has given for herself and for others. A person who has accepted her losses and defeats and found ways to deal with them in courage, conviction, and love. I'm grateful this morning to tell her publicly that I love her for who she is and how she has raised me to become a better man. We seldom have these opportunities to take the time and initiative to express that care. Yet my mother deserves the credit for making me a better person and finding the grit and strength and heart to help me and my family find our way 10 years since that dark morning when my dad passed away. For all of my classmates and for the students here this morning, I offer this welcome in spirit that our mothers are often the individuals who are our heroes, our protectors, our best friends, and our sources of greatest care and love. Thank you.
Good morning. For the past 18 years, there's only been one constant in my life, my mom, Diane Questenberry. With 4 different states and 6 different schools under my belt, change is the norm for my family. What each state and new school had in common was the never-ending love and support of my mom. This realization didn't really occur to me until about 1.5 years ago. Halfway through my junior year, my dad took a job in another state, and my parents tried to keep me out of the difficult choice of what to do next. A decision needed to be made on whether I would stay here in Nashville with my mom or move out with my dad. My mom decided to let me stay and keep my happiness and to not live with a bunch of cows in South Boston, Virginia. Living alone with my mom for the past 1.5 years has changed my perception on what a mother is. She's a best friend with compassion, understanding, and wisdom, someone with complete transparency and who offers constructive criticism and can deal with the stench of some dirty gym clothes. She's also my biggest supporter. I can never remember a time when she missed a school event or a sporting event. Since the 7th grade, my mom has even been willing to make the 40-minute drive every day to school and would have dinner ready for me in the car on my way back. These car rides would be filled with the most dreaded questions of, how was school? And tell me all about your day. Having thought of these questions as intrusive and overbearing at the time, I'll miss these attempts to make me open up and to express myself to her. I could talk about how my mom worked her way through high school and college, her drive and strength as she climbed a corporate ladder, how she gave it all up to raise my sister and I, her strength when her mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and passed away, or the fearlessness, time, and energy that's required for a mother to raise a boy. But my mom doesn't like to brag or have others feel sorry for herself. Her quiet determination and resolve inspire me to never give in. Her love and care for others are qualities that I hope to have. Her self-confidence and quick wit are reassuring, funny, and sometimes very embarrassing. And the more time I spend with my mom, the more I want to emulate in an attempt to be more like her. As I prepare to graduate and move out to the Air Force Academy, I'll never stop appreciating what you've sacrificed to allow me to stand up on this stage before you. Mom, I love you, and I'll always be your baby boy.
Thanks. I would like to start by giving a fair warning to Miss Powell. Miss Powell, this is my mother, Lori Patton. She's a very beautiful woman. I just want to let you know that she's cried during every Sarah McLachlan commercial, Cheerios commercial, even all the movies starring Cameron Diaz. So if this goes south, just give her a shoulder to lean on, please. When Mr. Joya asked me to talk about you, immediately, the first thing I did was come and tell you, and I knew that you weren't expecting this at all, because when I told you that I was going to be speaking, you said, Trevor, there is no way they would pick a goober like you to come speak at the mother-son breakfast. And to be honest, I totally agreed with you, and I was like, oh God, he's never going to pick me. But then I remembered the reason I told you in the first place is because he did pick me. So I immediately had a mini panic attack. I sat down at the computer and I was like, goodness, let's get this going. I immediately thought of thousands of things I could have brought up to demonstrate to everyone how you're truly a 1 in a billion type mom. So basically I sat down, my mind was racing. I thought maybe, I could talk about how you let me express myself freely in almost any way. Even if that means, making my hair look like I've sat in a wind tunnel for an hour and a half before school every day. Or, maybe I can talk about how you've been there with me for countless relationships. But then I remember that all these girlfriends I've had throughout my days. But then I realized that the reason that's never happened is because I've never actually had a past girlfriend. And the reason they're countless is because there's none to count in the first place. But that's okay. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe we can talk about how you supported literally every far-fetched sports dream I've ever had in my life. No matter how, far-fetched and crazy my worries of balancing both my obligations to the Olympic basketball team and the Olympic tennis squad may have seemed at the time. Heck, you even signed me up for karate when I was 4 years old because I thought I could climb my way all the way to the top and join the Power Rangers squad. And honestly, Mom, all those ideas rush through my head, but they just simply aren't enough to explain how amazing you are and show that to all these people that you're just an incredible, amazing mother. And I thought maybe if I sit down at the computer and Google some stats, I can multiply them out and make it equal 1 in a billion. So I started off with the first one. You're an identical twin. So that makes you a 1 out of 285 people, which is amazing. And then I thought, well, you are beautiful and you did pursue a career as a model when you were younger. Don't laugh, it's okay. And I Googled it, and believe it or not, that makes you 1 out of 525 females in America. So that's another thing to add to it. And then I Googled, I was thinking, I was like, these pointless stats, they're just not going to help at all. So then I Googled the stat that's really not our favorite stat, but it's a stat that really has a lot of our origins, our identities in both of them. And so I figured I would Google the stats of the odds of you being a single mother with an only child who lost her husband to brain cancer. And believe it or not, Google actually had a stat for that. It was 1 in 952,000 families. And I was like, goodness. And obviously that's a stat that neither of us want to be a part of, but for reasons out of our control, we are. And you know, that was a really hard time for us when Dad died. Oh, Miss Powell, you can get next to her for this. That was a really hard time for both of us when Dad died. I still remember the exact moment you told me, and this is going to sound crazy, but April 25th, 2005, he just had his 10-year anniversary a couple days ago. It was 5:24 in the afternoon. We were sitting in Tanta's kitchen table. Tanta's her identical twin. Her real name's Leslie, but I call her Tanta. We were in her kitchen, and you looked at me with tears in your eyes, and I was really young. I was only 8, so I didn't really know exactly what was going on. But you looked at me and told me that Dad had died. And then at that moment, boom, waterworks from all directions. I lost the dad that I loved. You lost the husband that you loved. Everyone just lost the man that we loved. And it was just a moment that changed our lives in a way that I can look back at now and believe that no one in your position could possibly have handled. But somehow you managed. In fact, you were so strong that for those years when it was just you and me, because we had no brothers, sisters, it was just you and me, I managed to get past all odds that I Googled that were supposed to define me. I looked up a psychological blog for teens with fatherless boys, and it said how I'm supposed to be some troubled teen who's going from school to school and failing out and joining gangs and basically allowing myself to wallow in my own self-depression and pity. And I was thinking, my psyche, according to the experts, is supposed to have been altered in such a way that I could have never lived a normal life. But for some reason, I looked at that and I was like, that's not true at all. That doesn't define me whatsoever. That's the complete opposite. But then I thought to myself, that could have defined me. That could have been me. But what those experts didn't take into account is your strength, Mom. And Joseph's mom is probably the same way, that you guys have something inside of you that I don't know anyone else has. It's something that makes you strong enough to be able to go every day with just you as the legal guardian, making sure that my life is happy and that my childhood isn't torn up because I lost my father. And I loved him a lot. And I don't know how you did that, but you made me find some way to find happiness in life. And that's incredible. And it's like, instead of me bouncing from school to school, I'm in the best school in the nation right now, making the best friends I've ever made in my entire life, finding mentors that I can look up to as father figures, finding older brothers like Mr. Villamain, all because you put me in this situation to come here and be able to do this. And Mom, I'm so grateful for that. I'd never really tell you that everything you've done for me, I'm so appreciative, and I finally get the opportunity right now to tell you, right before I go to college, that you're just an amazing, amazing woman that I'd be nothing without. I really wouldn't, because I was only 8. I couldn't control myself. You were the one that led the train. And Mom, honestly, that's amazing. And you see, what no one on these internet blogs that don't know what they're talking about took into account is your strength, Mom. And honestly, that's what makes you 1 in a billion. No, not 1 in a billion. One in infinity, Mom. That's what makes you 1 in infinity type mom. And I know you may get mad at me, and I may get mad at you for leaving tons of Peter sushi leftovers in my car, or finding M&Ms in the crevices of my bed, or even M&Ms in the crevices of your bed when I go and hang out there sometimes and use the computer. But Mom, you have to understand that no matter how mad we get at each other, it's all out of love, because you're my best friend, and I love you, Mom. So I want to tell you one last time before I leave that all I can say is thank you, and that honestly, you are my rock that I'm going to lean on for many, many, many years to come, Mom. And I just love you so much, so thanks for being there, Mom.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Trevor. Let's join me in welcoming the NBA Jazz Band as they come up.
My mom didn't know I was speaking this morning, and I had to lie 3 times so that she didn't know. And then when she saw the program, she told me she was going to kill me 6 times. And you all know how sweet my mom is. But I want to tell you about the impact my mom has on my life through her advice and her comfort. So I want to say that since I was young, I've received advice from my mom. And this advice has ranged from big ideas to small tidbits of wisdom. Things from, Cole, stay in school, to Cole, don't put those scissors in that socket. And normally I recognize the merit of her advice, but occasionally I'd respond and say, I know, Mom. All the moms know that. But the thing is, I never knew, and I never know when I say that. I never know what I'm saying. But my mom is patient with my naivety, and she just says, I'm just trying to pack your backpack, Cole. And I'm like, Mom, I don't even have school tomorrow. And she says, Cole, it's not that type of backpack. And as I got older, I understood that it's the backpack of life. You know what I'm talking about? It's the important one. It's not the LL Bean Turbo Transit, and yes, I looked up the name of the backpack. It's not full of Latin conjugations. It's not full of textbooks. It's Mama Jones's metaphorical backpack, and it's the one full of advice that I've received my entire life. Now keep that backpack in mind, and let me tell you that everything my mom does, she does it to make me a better me. I've seen this almost more than anything in my athletics. My whole life, she'd put me in every sport, from baseball to lacrosse to swimming. But when I got to NBA, I decided that I wanted to run. And I know how much this excited her because my mom's a runner herself. She's not just an ordinary runner. She's completed at least 20 marathons, at least, 10 of those being Boston's. She's gonna kill me for telling you that. But for a long time, I didn't understand what a great feat this was. But as I got older and more serious about running, I began to understand. Around 10th grade, she began dragging me out of bed early on Saturday mornings. We'd get into the car before the sun rose and the chilly darkness was upon us. And we'd begin our run as the sun was peeking up over the Nashville hills at Percy Warner Park. We'd run for miles and miles, and we'd get back home in time to watch SpongeBob until noon. One morning, she'd gotten me up so early that I actually saw an NBA boy 2 years older than me coming home from the night before. Starting in June, my senior year, my Saturday mornings became occupied by team practices, and our sunrise runs dwindled. I'm sure it wasn't easy for her to let that happen, and in her position, I would have been frustrated and a bit annoyed that she was losing her son on her Saturday mornings. But she knew the commitments I needed to make, and she understood why I wasn't by her side on those Saturday morning runs. The team worked for months with our eyes on a state championship. And my mom did everything with her infinite running knowledge and expertise to help us get there. However, on November 1st of last year, when I added 2 minutes to my cross-country time and the team placed 6th, I didn't know what to do. I'd never experienced failure on such a large scale. I'd never worked so hard for so long. And I remember stumbling across that finish line, exhausted, distraught, frustrated, and confused. I remember looking at my mom as she was walking towards me. She had a smile on her mouth and a tear on her cheek, but no words were necessary. All those sunrise runs had ended in a failure, but she embraced me, and I knew that my failure was okay. And I guess that's what the best moms do, isn't it? They let you know that your failures are okay. They work with unconditional dedication to allow us to achieve success. And when we miss the mark, we have those unprecedented failures. They greet us with a smile and a tear, and they let us know that it's okay. This is what my mom does for me. I think I truly learn something or relearn something from my mom every day. Her hospitality, her kindness, her love, her finesse, her class, her godliness, and her underlying grit. These are the things that make me a better person. She's the lady that never let me stop calling her mommy. She's the lady that taught me that it was acceptable to do donuts in my 4Runner in our front yard. And she's the lady that packed my backpack full for 18 years. She's done this because she knows that one day, way too soon, she won't be there by my side in every situation at the end of every day to give me advice and to remind me what the right thing to do is. Mommy, you've packed my backpack full for 18 years, and I couldn't be more appreciative. There's no words that I can use to express how much I love you. Thank you.
Well, when I was asked to speak about my mother, I texted all three of my brothers asking them what they thought I should add to my speech today. One of them had spoken 4 years ago. And Edward, the eldest, replied about talking about the parenting styles and how she's been an individual mom to all of us and filled to our own specific needs. But my brother John just replied, plagiarize Andrew's entire speech. So I'll do my best to give you all my take on how wonderful my mom is and what she means to me. My mom was born Molly Kate Lindsay in Montgomery, Alabama. She had the good sense to attend Auburn University, where she studied economics, and just so happened to beat my father out for the most outstanding sophomore award. He just now reluctantly admitted that she deserved it more than he. She went from Auburn to study abroad in Oxford and ultimately graduated from Harvard Law School. After law school, she became a litigator, and that prepared her well to be the chief arbitrator, magistrate, and referee over 4 boys in our home. Over the last 25 years, she's been a lawyer, a teacher, a head of school, a foster mom. She's chaired the spaghetti supper, hosted 6 exchange students, and above all, she's been an amazing mother to 4 very diverse boys. Well, 5 boys if you count my father. I could tell you lots about my mom, but my preference is to just tell you a few stories. See, growing up, I was a really serious troublemaker up until about a week ago. In my early years, my main hobbies included book throwing, drink spilling, general mischief, and streaking. They haven't changed much since then. At age 5, I informed my mother that the time taking on and off my underwear was just too much of percent of my life, and I was just gonna stop doing it. My mom was unfazed, and she said, if it works for you, then it's less laundry for me, so you go ahead. I'd gone from being called O to being called Commando. Well, the year before I was born, my family had moved to Austin, Texas, and my mom was working at an anti-poverty ministry of our church. Remember, this is a very conservative Republican woman we're talking about. She was personally mentoring a woman with 2 small children, and when the lady became incapacitated through a subsequent addiction, my mom brought these 2 kids into our home. I had 2 foster brothers, Joshua and Jonathan. There were 6 boys in our house, an 11, 2 9s, 2 7s, and a 5-year-old. And I was the 5-year-old Commando. I don't know how my mom or we survived. Just picture it. There's, Andrew's getting beat up in the backyard by John, Edward's reading, I'm running up and down the street with minimal clothes on probably. Josh and John are off tackling each other. I don't know how my mom did it. And then after Josh and John had been adopted, after about a year, my mom homeschooled us through my kindergarten year. As you see, the adoption didn't give her an opportunity to take a break. She had more time now, and so she spent that time starting a school in Austin. They called the school City School after Augustine's City of God. She became the head of school when the headmaster had bailed just 3 weeks before the school was set to start. But within 2 years, with Mama P at the helm, the school grew to over 80 students and continues to thrive today. You know, at times, going to school as your mom as the principal was a little troubling, especially when you were a troublemaker, see, because whenever I got sent to the principal's office, which was often, I would go see my mother, and you know how now in schools the spanking's not allowed? That doesn't apply if your mom's the principal. So, but I really loved the time of that school. You know, I got to meet some really, really great people. I loved my friends, you know, Raul, Bertine, Jose, Hubert. You know, they taught me a lot about contentment in life, and they taught me how to curse in Spanish, which was cool. In English class here at MBA, they teach us to write in a way that we are showing the action instead of telling. And my mom sometimes uses this technique in her parenting. She never told us when we were younger to not listen to explicit music, but she would kind of show us why we didn't want to listen to explicit music, especially in front of her. I remember we were driving in the car and a song came on, and she could have easily just turned it off and like, you don't listen to that music. But I think she really wanted to torture us. She started singing along, and so I was sitting in the back seat and listening to my mom sing, "Shawty had them apple-bottom jeans, boots with the fur, the whole club was looking at her, she hit the floor, Shawty got low." We yelled back, "Mom, you can't sing that, like, what are you doing?" And she's like, "If it's good enough for you to listen to, then I can sing it." So needless to say, we didn't listen too much of that around her. Well, when I first began trying to describe the woman I most love and respect, you know, it's a really hard thing to do. You know, I've come to realize, even though I've been trained to translate my emotions into words through Montgomery Bell's esteemed English department, I'm inadequate for the task. You know, even now, while I've attempted to give you a faint image of who my mom is and what she means to me, I don't think I can do my mom justice. No matter how hard I work to compile my thoughts or to prepare to deliver a speech, how could a few words, even if they could be composed and delivered with unparalleled precision and eloquence. In other words, if my brother Andrew had stood up here to give this speech, that couldn't even give you a brief image of who my mom is and what she means to me. Mom, I speak for all the brothers when I say there's no way we could be the men we are today without your support and love. Whenever we need anything, no matter when or where, you've always been there to help us. You've been a wonderful daughter, a wonderful wife, and most of all, an irreplaceable mom. You stand up for us and fight for us when we need you. I know it'll be weird next year with all your boys far from home, but rest assured, even though your sons will soon all be gone, we will still always need your love and care. You've been the best mother, and I can't imagine how wonderful a grandmother you'll be shortly. As your wedding ring and Proverbs 31:29 say, many daughters have done excellently, but you surpassed them all. Mama, I love you.
Good morning. Like most of the other guys, I didn't tell my mom I was going to do this, and like Trevor's mom, it might be waterworks over there, so I'm glad she has two other sons to lean on. Seriously, last fall, I was playing Highland Cathedral on my computer, and through tears, she asked if I would turn it off because that was the song they play at graduation. So this might get rough. My mother's life has been defined by three qualities: determination, love, and genuine loyalty. Anna Morrow Thornton is one of the most determined people I know. The words, "sorry we were closed," don't really register in her mind. I cannot tell you how many times we've gone to a store before it opens or after it closes, and she has walked right in and asked to receive whatever she needs. One of her favorite sayings for the children is, "the worst they can say is no." On only one occasion is that determination pushed to the limit, when she has to call Comcast. When the TV or internet goes down, she makes that dreaded call to the service agent in some developing country. And I'm sure many of you know how difficult it is to get anything done. I once overheard her say, "trying to get help from this company is like trying to get out of a communist country." And she actually traveled to East Germany before the Berlin Wall fell, so she knows what she's talking about there. Later, I heard her say, "this is why your company is going into the ground." Those Comcast calls perfectly demonstrate another one of my mom's qualities, her capacity for sacrifice. She has given up a lot for our family. She sold her swim school to spend more time with the kids. She has homeschooled all three of the boys at some time. She accepts the responsibility of paying the family taxes, and she calls Comcast. She does have some quirks, like the way she pronounces some words. Her favorite tennis tournament is Wimbledon. She loves Swift Tick socks, and the perfect Mexican place is Chipotle. When I was younger, she was a big believer in the get out of the car and walk home technique for my brothers and I. She sends about 5.166, repeating, of course, emails per day to me. She's very economical, buying in bulk at Costco, returning food that has gone bad too early instead of just throwing it away, and packing our lunches for all road trips. Although she is thrifty, she does enjoy two things: good food and nice gas station bathrooms. She loves to try new restaurants in Nashville with the family, and we always stop at Pilot when we're on the road. I'm a lot like my mom, especially in the competition department. My parents met during a doubles tennis, mixed doubles match when my dad was filling in. My mom introduced herself saying, "Hi, I'm Anna Morrow, and I like to win." I'm the same way. Like my mom, I believe you play to win the game. As you can probably guess, board game night at our house usually ends in disaster. For the past 5 years, my siblings have refused to play Monopoly with me because I almost always win, and when I don't, I'm not happy about it. Guess who taught me how to play Monopoly? My mother. The only game that we can play successfully is Bananagrams because the stakes are just a lot lower. My mom has taught me to harness this competitiveness, though. When I was young, I was sort of a loose cannon. I actually had to leave one preschool because I could not get along with the kids there. She kept me home for a year between preschool and kindergarten because I was not socially mature enough to interact in kindergarten. Even when I got to kindergarten, I argued and fought with Austin Rolfe so much that my teacher recommended that we never be in class together again. To this day, 13 years later, I've never had a class with Austin. Even though many people worried about me, my mom believed in me and worked with me. She taught me self-control and the value of honesty at a young age. When I was 5, we were playing this game called Concentration, and it involves one person flips over 2 cards, and if they're the same card, you get to keep them, and if they're different, you turn them back over, and the next person goes. And the person with the most cards at the end of the game wins. So you have to memorize where the cards are, and we were playing on a glass table, and I thought I could look underneath the table up at the cards to see which ones I needed to turn over. And that worked for about 1 turn before she caught me, and that is the worst spanking I've ever received in my life. Not only did she discipline me, though, she helped me learn by loving and investing in me. My mom has worn many hats in her life. She's been a teller at SunTrust Bank. Recently, she worked as a financial advisor. She even started her own swim school and most likely taught many of you how to swim, the boys, that is. Her most impressive title to me, though, is family manager. She runs our family. From the budget to the sound system to irrigation, she does it all. If you're trying to guess a username to our Amazon or SunTrust account for some reason, guess family manager. She has been managing families for a while. When she was 15, her mother died, and she was left with 3 brothers and a difficult dad. She took her brothers to school, made sure they ate every day, and even protected them. Once, her older brother Rob was being bullied on the playground, and my mom walked up to the bullies and asked them to stop. And they did not. They continued berating Rob, and she threw sand in all of their eyes. She cares deeply about other people and is fiercely loyal to those she loves. Caring for others has always been a major part of my mother's life. In conversations with her, she will ask you real questions beyond, how was your day? She genuinely cares about people. For example, at my cousin's wedding, right after the ceremony, during dinner, she asked the bride, when are you going to have kids? If you tell my mom about one of your needs, she will pray for you. She's led a Bible study at Harpeth Hall for the past 5 or 6 years. Even after my sister graduated, she continued to invest in the girls over there. And from that group of girls, she has made my list, which many of you probably know what I'm talking about, the list of girls that I'm allowed to marry. With number 1, who is number 1 for probably a lot of y'all, Sophie Pilkington. She has a long prayer list, and I call her the prayer warrior. She is a rock and one of the most evangelical and caring people I know. My mom has braved the projects of Memphis and Little Rock to take me to basketball tournaments. She has put up with 3 teenage boys at full energy on snow days. She has gone through, in her words, the gates of hell to take our family to Disney World. My mom has given everything for my family and me, and I hope to develop as deep a capacity for love as my mom exhibits on a daily basis. She's the most loving, genuine, and caring person I know, and I will miss her dearly next year. Thank you.
The finale, okay. Thank you all for coming today. It's great to spend a beautiful morning with a room full of beautiful people. And Ma, who you think's gonna cry first, me or you? Me, probably. Okay. So I get to tell you all about how great my mom is, has been, and always will be for me. My mother, Ebony Heron, is truly the light of my life. Ma, I can honestly say that I will be nowhere near where I am now. You won. Okay. Without you always pushing me to challenge myself, when I often chose to just sit back and be lazy, play Xbox, watch TV, and no matter how worrisome I was, you never gave up on me. So my mom has this crazy ability to see the potential in people and push you to do greater than you ever thought you could. And she's an HR recruiter, so it kind of makes sense for me. And she will claw, scratch, nag, yell, do whatever she has to do to get the job done. But I love that about her, because without her seeing the potential in me and knowing that I was capable of more than I ever thought I could do for myself, I never would have been an MBA, would definitely not be on the way to the University of Pennsylvania next year. And I could imagine what I'd be doing right now. Probably be in Buffalo, New York, Aunt Jeanette's house on Box Street, trying to make music with David. But Ma, there's no way I'll ever be able to thank you enough for everything you've done for me. And it's hard to think about how close that I was to losing you so many years ago to breast cancer. But you didn't just survive breast cancer, you conquered it and you thrived through it. Because for a long time, I didn't even know that you had breast cancer, because you didn't show it. You came home, the same smile, the same joy, the same vitality, to cover up what was going on inside your body. And I'm so grateful that someone with a lot more power than me decided that wasn't your time to go. Because who else will be there to lecture me about how my 87 should be 95s at the mid-quarter? Who else would have gotten kindly escorted out of the Chinese restaurant with me for eating enough crab legs for a party of 10? Who would have been there for me when procrastination crept up and put me in a tight spot for the diorama project, then the solar system project, then the food project in 6th grade, and then probably everything I've had at MBA. But you stayed up with me till 1 in the morning, getting everything done. You're my partner in crime, you're my writer, you're my best friend. And I know I don't say it enough, but I appreciate you so much. I love you more than anything in this world. And I'm gonna spend the rest of my life working hard like you taught me. So one day we'll be able to sit back and I can look at you straight in your eyes and I can say, Mama, we made it. And it's all because of you. I know it's all you ever want to hear me say. And to everyone in this room, cherish your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your sister, whatever woman is the reason you are here this morning. Whether she's looking down on you, worrying about you from a different place, whether she's right next to you, no one will ever be a bigger fan of you than her. And all she wants to see you do is succeed. And Ma, just one more time, because I know I don't ever say this enough. I appreciate you so much, and I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. This is my favorite part right here. And I'm stronger, I'm wiser, and I'm so much better. Because I never would have made it without you. Shout out to Mr. Smith and Big Red 2015 chorus. But no matter where I'm at, whether Philly or Philadelphia, Beijing, California, wherever I end up, I'll always be a little Shaboodaboo. And I love you so much. Give me a hug.